It is. All right. And the recording has started. All right. Well, hello, everyone. For the purpose of the recording, today is March the 11th, 2021. And while it is not the ideal time, and we might actually repeat this for some of our other folks that are not here, I don't know. We've been trying to meet monthly to talk about Google things. And we have a group of about 4 of us that have been working on probably taking certification tests. I took the first one in the fall, and there's a couple different levels, but today we thought we would talk about Google Calendar. If you want to become a Google certified educator, you basically have to do different kinds of real world tasks that they have a system that you go online, and so you're logged in as a teacher at a fictitious school. And it'll ask you to do things like, for instance, set up an events calendar for your class and share that with parents and create a new event and check to see if your principal who's named Mr. Smith can come, or things like that. So these slides I've emailed to you all, and you can get to them from that wfryer.me/cal. And we can completely go wherever you all would like. I want to the first thing is probably the most important, and it's the online support resources. But I then came up with 7 other things that I think are just pretty valuable to know. And the cool thing, or challenging thing also about Google, is that no matter how well you know these tools, they're always updating them. So I learned some new things just in the course of putting these slides together. If the person you're trying to invite is a Casady employee, and if they're using their calendar, and if, as a teacher, they have their classes in there, you can check their availability to see when they can meet. And we do not have a mandate or requirement at this point that I'm aware of to, be using Google Calendar and having all kinds of things on there. It is something that people use to varying degrees. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about notifications and how you can customize those and set those up. I know that I need reminders. Bobby Abel's assistant just called, and we're going to meet at 11 on Monday to have a little virtual call with him next week. Exactly. So there's an example. It says if I'm having an irregular thing where I don't usually have a haircut that day or whatever, I'm now at a completely dependent stage, because if it's not on my calendar, I probably won't be there, and even if it is, sometimes anyway, I've just started to train myself that way. We'll talk about sharing your data, what your options and choices are, how to use a shared calendar. I was looking, and 4 years ago, as tech director, I made a video, which is, I think, still accurate, because Blackbaud hasn't really changed much, about how you can bring in Blackbaud things into your calendar. So as a parent, for instance, with kids on a sports team or something like that, as a teacher now, my schedule, I can bring that in for courses. This looks different for lower division teachers versus middle and upper. But anyway, there's that, Google Meet and Zoom, and then Calendly. And maybe we should actually do that one first, because I know that's something that you're interested in. And yeah. Okay, so maybe we'll let me do the support resources, and then I'm going to jump to number 8, and we'll just jump out of order and go to Calendly, and then we'll see how many of these other things. Does anything that I've put up, that I've set up besides Calendly, have particular interest to either of you, as far as something you're like, let's definitely do that?
I have a calendar, but people will say, well, will you look at my calendar and pick a time? And I don't know how to do that.
Perfect. Okay, there you go. We'll do that one too. That's number 2. Anything else?
No, it'll probably pop in. I'm just looking at mine now.
Okay. All right. So let's talk briefly about support resources, because Google is continually updating not only their tools, but also the support and the training resources that are around them. And so Calendar, is certainly something, not like Google Classroom. Google Classroom is specific to schools, and they've got training that's just for teachers. But Calendar is applicable to everybody who's using Google's suite of tools. And so if you go to support.google.com/calendar, you will find their main calendar help site that will break down using the calendar on the web, on your laptop, the app, which by the way, I highly recommend Google's apps. So you can download the calendar app for iPhone, download the Gmail app for iPhone. They do a really nice job with those, or with Android. Okay, yes, so let me be equitable for both. Yeah, so Android, and of course, Google is Android. I mean, that's their operating system. So whatever smartphone you have, the custom apps that are designed for calendar and for Gmail are excellent, and I highly recommend those. And so this link, and well, let me visit it. So
The settings so that it automatically shares, the devices.
it'll automatically do it. You might have different ones showing up, so you may need to turn off certain calendars. And for instance, like using Google Classroom, they'll turn on. This slideshow has these live hyperlinks that you can use, and so here's, for instance, the calendar help page. So it has popular articles at the top, but then we could just go to the Google Calendar app, and then if you're running Android or your iPhone, then you can go ahead and select that. And here's all these tutorials specific to your Android phone that are going to have screenshots and everything about that. So that is a really good resource to be aware of and to check out further. In addition to that, I found this. I had not seen this before. This is a 15-page document that summarizes all of Google's updated resources for education, just for education. And I've put the QR codes on here just in case you would want to have it on your phone. You can point your camera there and it'll scan it and go to it. This document summarizes how Google has their training and courses set up and their certifications. And we won't talk at length about this, but they have certifications of 2 levels for educators, 1 and 2. Before all this, they had a program called Google Certified Teacher. And you got to go to a Google campus for a whole day and learn from the Googlers. I did that in 2005 in Boulder. It was really, really awesome. But now it's a little bit different. They still have something called Innovators. And so after you do level 1 and 2 of Educator, if you want, you can apply. And that is on site at a Google campus. I think they're all Google campuses. And so that's another level. But you can become a certified trainer and also certified admin. And they have a lot of online resources for these. All the online resources are free, but the tests cost about $20 to take. And like I said, they're real world, kinds of activities. So I had not seen this before. This is a great summary. It talks about the ways that they have their training and their courses set up. So in our slideshow, I've just pretty much pulled out what is specific to calendar. And so for teachers, they have these 2 courses called Fundamentals Training and Advanced Training. And these have quite a bit of content in them, and their videos and their questions and multiple choice. So in the 13 units of fundamentals training, and this is designed to prepare anyone to take the level 1 Google Certified Educator course, they estimate it would take 15 hours to go through this. Unit 5, Organize Activities for Yourself and Others, has a section called Keep Track of Your Class Schedules and Appointments using Google Calendar. They estimate it takes 14 minutes to go through that. There are tasks in each one of these. And so while we don't have a sample test of what this test is, these are the tasks that are in the unit about calendar. And so that gives you a pretty good idea of the kind of things you'd be asked to do. To create a separate calendar, like a family calendar, or it could be a class calendar, creating an event, sharing a calendar, and then having a customized reminder. In other words, sometimes I need to be reminded more than one time. And like my haircut, it takes me 30 minutes to drive to Edmond. So a 10-minute reminder doesn't work for that. That's the default. And so setting that up. Also, at the end of each one of these, there's a lesson check, and it's multiple choice. You can see the answers right there. And that's also a really nice way, even if you're not preparing for one of the tests or the certifications to get, just a review and test your knowledge. In the second course for educators, which has 11 units, and they also estimate takes 15 hours to go through, Unit 3 has a section called, or a module, Create a Shared Calendar for Parents and Students. And by the way, I think all of this got updated this summer. This was published in August of 2020, so this is all very, very current. And the same kind of thing, they have tasks also to create an events calendar, but how you can share the view You can create appointment slots, which I have done before, but Calendly, I think, is a more elegant way of doing that. And that just basically means letting, parents sign up for you. We're with you for an appointment. We are, for the first time this year, using a new system, which, do you remember what it's called? I don't remember what it is. It's in my Casady. It's integrated anyway, where parents are able to directly book the conferences with teachers, which I think is great. It doesn't integrate the Google Meet or a Zoom with it, but it still is a big step forward of where we've been before with Sign Up Genius and just people being in all different kinds of places with it. And it also, I think, lets a parent kind of look across campus if you've got kids in multiple divisions. So that's a good thing. And then if you want parents to receive guardian emails, that just basically tells parents what's missing in Google Classroom for their kids. That's in there as well. So actually, I'm going to play this video first, and then we'll do Calendly. Here's a lovely video. Google does a nice job not speaking at all, so this will work with anyone's language, I guess. But here's a 30-second video on how to look up how to meet with somebody. And look at this. They've put it right here on the side. Meet with, you could put Wes or Shelly or whatever name here. And boom, it just shows in that color that person's calendar right there. So let me, and if you want to do this, let me exit out of this. So I'm going to go to my calendar really quick and show you what this looks like. The calendar.google.com, you can always get to from the waffle. So this little 4x4, looking like a phone pad, dial pad, whatever there that's in the corner, right there. That is oftentimes by Google trainers and Google people, that'll be called the waffle. And I use that with my 5th and 6th graders when we're doing computers. You can customize what's in the waffle. So, if you need Gmail first, you can just move it right there. But it will have pretty much all of the standard Google tools in it and a lot of other things. And calendar is one of them. So anyway, you can go to your waffle from basically any new tab. You can also simply put in calendar.google.com. That's usually what I do, is just put it in. You have different views. So this is today's view. Look, it's my last event of the day.
I looked at your calendar and it was scary.
It does look scary sometimes. Well, I have all my classes in here too. So this is the day view. Let's step back to the week view. Let's look at next week, spring break. That'll look nice. Oh, look at that. What does that even mean?
So can I subscribe to your calendar? Oh, there's
you can, and I've chosen not to share my specific details with you, but you can see if I'm busy or not.
Correct.
And then, like with the team, when I was tech director, I think probably I did share with my team exactly, they could see what I was doing. But usually when you do calendar sharing, and this is what you're doing when you put somebody's name in. So let's go to the week after spring break, and let's say that I wanted to have a meeting with Bree. So I'm going to type Bree, and look at that. I see Bree's schedule in purple, and I am in blue. And let's say Shelly, I want to invite Shelly to come too. So I'll put Shelly in, and look at that. I don't see anything. But that's because Shelly's not putting all of her schedule stuff. Like, she's lower division, 3rd grade, so 8 to 3, she's pretty booked with kids. But for middle and upper division teachers, there's a way that you can have your actual class schedule on here. There's different ways to do that. Again, has to be a Casady.org person. Also needs to be somebody who's using the calendar and putting all their events in.
Share the details. So
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at 2 people that I've regularly communicate with.
Yeah, well, actually, so I'm noticing something here. We probably want to go in for your sharing and change it, because I can actually see what you're doing at those events, and you don't want that. You actually want that to not have. Yep, exactly. So let me show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I need to go to my calendar settings. And so over here on the left side, well, let me finish. This was week view. And then you can also do the month view, or I don't ever do the year view. That's where it gets scary. Oh, look at that. But anyway, you can change all those views. And similarly on your phone, you can toggle in between those. Over here on the side, you can choose a date from this calendar view. This is, I don't know if this is new or not. It's new to me. I had never seen that. There's other ways to check for when you can meet with people. This is a way I had not done before, and I think they've added it. Below here are all the calendars that I have either created or I'm subscribed to. Now, why do you think so few of these have a check mark by them? I don't want to see them. And so for all of my Google Classrooms, it automatically creates a calendar. So, I mean, if I check these, I'm going to see all the assignments that are, I guess some of these are winter classes that are over, but here's my spring classes. So I could start checking these, and I'm going to see the assignments that I've given to kids or whatever. Some things are automatically created. The one that you want to change for your personal sharing is the top one. Your personal calendar, you always have, it's part of your Google account, and it's always the top one. They're alphabetical below that. So I'm going to tap this, and the 3 dots, which some people will call a hot dog, but just right to the right. Oh, and by the way, yeah, turn it on or off. So if I turn that off, I'm not seeing the events that are on that calendar, okay? When I tap the 3 dots just to the right of the calendar, I can select settings and sharing. Now, also notice that I can choose the color. So this is how you can color code. And, if you have multiple calendars or whatever, yep, it'll say all of the events. So if I didn't want my events to be blue, oh, I feel red. Then all the events on my personal calendar are suddenly red. And so that's just up to you how you want to do that. But it's generally nice for the main calendars that you have to choose different colors, because then you can see at a glance what those are. We're not really seeing. Let me go back to this week, and you can see really the only thing from the Genius bar is this meeting today. So there it's green, and I created it on there to make that separate. So anyway, it's an example of a different calendar. So we're having events for workshop, training and technology, and so it has its own calendar. All right, let me show you how to change the details. So I'm going to click here, and instead of color, I'm going to say settings. So choose settings and sharing. And this is specific to this calendar. You have a tool, what is that? Cog? I don't know, what is that? Chain wheel. It's a settings icon. It looks like a chain wheel on a bike, or something that's spinning around with a motor. But anyway, that is the icon. But that would be for the settings menu. You want to change settings for a calendar, so that's why you find the calendar on the side, and you say settings and sharing. All right. If you scroll down, these are going to be the permissions. Here's the magical one, Bree, that you'll want to change. You want to have your access available for Casady School, but you want to have what I've got set here. See only, free, busy, hide details. Really? Really? Maybe you shared it with me specifically. Am I a person below here where it says share with specific people? Really? I wonder if it's because I'm an admin. Huh. Shelly, put Bree in and see if you can see her stuff. I wonder if because I'm still an admin at our school, if I'm able to see everybody's stuff, because that's kind of weird. You just see busy. Okay, good. See? Okay, there you go. Learn something new. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, nothing to worry about. That's good. But while we're here, let's take a look down here. You can share different things specifically with other people or with other accounts. So for instance, I have a personal Gmail account, and I've allowed that account to make changes to the events. I've also given Shelly the ability to see all of my events. So you can put members of your team or your family or whatever and give them the rights that you would like to your calendar. All right. Okay, there's other things as well. Event notifications. This is where the default is set. Mine is set to 10 minutes. If you don't like a 10-minute reminder, and you want 15, if you change that, that will by default always be added to your events. Maybe you don't want any notifications, so delete that. Maybe you want 2. You want a 15-minute and a 30-minute. You know, this is just the default settings that will automatically come up there. There's other changes that you can do with notifications here. If you want to get email for new events, things that are canceled, things that are changed, that's set to email by default. But if you want to turn those off, you're like, no, I don't want to see them. I like to see those because then it's a change to my calendar. It just gives me an alert. But you can choose to do that. And then this other fancier stuff is probably things you don't have. We won't really have to worry about. But there's ways to take a calendar and share it, in some other places if you would want to. Any questions about just kind of those basics of calendar settings?
So that one with other notifications like new events and email.
Right.
It's emailing myself.
It's emailing you. So these are notifications you're going to receive by default. Other people are going to it's going to follow their notifications. So if they've said, hey, I want to be notified when I have a new event, then they'll get an email. But if they have that turned off, they won't. So it'll send it to them if they've said they want it. And by default, email's turned on for all of those events. People can turn them off. Anything else as far as calendar settings? Okay, well, why don't we skip all the way down? Let me see if I've got another. Actually, we just did calendar notifications, so we'll skip that video. And we just did calendar data too. That's good. Here's the link to the Google support page about calendar data. It's called a delegate if you want to give somebody the ability to make changes on your calendar. And you don't have to make them the owner, but for instance, Nathan has HL, schedule stuff for him, and she's his delegate. Depending upon how you work in your department and whatever, you could share that, or you can just let people see it. And then we talked about sharing it with everybody in the organization and permission. So anyway,
Make it public, that's still only going to be public.
So what we've done so far, right, was just allowing people at Casady. What I would recommend, and then we'll talk about Calendly here, is not making your calendar public, but giving people a public link they can use to book with you, to make a reservation. And Google has something called appointment slots, which I have not, honestly, really used in depth in a number of years. I've set things up for libraries to check out carts of laptops. I did that for our school at one point when we were going to try to do that. And, one of the things that made it challenging for us was just our class times, because it wasn't like 8 to 9, for 1 hour. They were very specific, and it took a while to do. I'm going to skip down to Calendly, and we'll play this quick little video, and then I'll just show you kind of how I have this set up. So you can use our free version, but there's a annual fee. And what this allows me to have is a link that I can not only share with teachers and staff, but also with parents, with anybody, to be able to schedule time with me. And it's pretty user-friendly.
Scheduling meetings with people outside of your company should be easy, but it's not. Everyone's on different schedules in different time zones, so you have to send 4 different emails just to set something up. Calendly eliminates the back and forth. When you want to schedule a meeting, just share your link. Invitees can only pick from time slots that follow the rules you created, so you're always in control of who you meet and when. Once your invitee picks a time, the meeting is added to all of your calendars. Calendly works with your most common business apps, securely integrating with your calendar, so it always knows your availability, automatically creating your web conferences, and updating your CRM as meetings are scheduled. It even sends invitees a reminder before the meeting. You can embed your Calendly link on your website and include it in your sales and marketing campaigns. Calendly is even more powerful for teams. You can pool availability of multiple team members, then
and that stuff probably isn't as applicable for us. But here's an example. So this is what it looks like. You get to choose what your little address is. So since my username for my email is FryerW, I just went with that. So calendly.com/FryerW, and I have decided to have 3 meeting times. People can book 15, 30, or 60-minute meetings with me. So let's say somebody wants to do a 30-minute meeting. They click that, and then based on the rules that I set up, which also is like, can you schedule it, an hour in advance? No, I want to have a 3-hour buffer, or you can have, longer or whatever. My next availability at school, because my calendar knows I'm going to be gone for spring break, is going to be on Wednesday the 24th. And because of teaching and other things, I have my next 30-minute time block at 1:30. So somebody could go ahead and select that. They can confirm it. They'll put in their name and their email. And then I have chosen these options. So we can meet virtually with Google Meet or Zoom or a phone call or somewhere else. And then they put this in. So they do that. It automatically goes on my calendar because it is a slot that I've said I'm available then. And then they'll get that email and be able to put that on their calendar. So here's what Calendly looks like when you log in. If I can put in the right address. So I'm going to just click log in, and I log in with my Google account. I use this free, and then I'm trying to remember why I ended up paying. I don't know if it was because of needing more than one event type. But here's the events that I have. So let's say I wanted a new event type. Is this going to be a one-on-one or a group meeting? This is just a one-on-one meeting. Okay, I give it a name. So we could call it whatever, 2-hour. It's not going to keep this. Locations. What is this going to be? Well, this could be a phone call. Do you want to call the invitee, or do you want them to call me? Okay, I can say I'll call them. You can add additional location options. I think that might be it. How many different locations? This will be an in-person meeting. Let's see. Can't be blank. Casady. So you could put the address, your office room, office address, whatever. And anyway, these are just going to be choices in a pop-up menu. And when you set up your account, I have my Google account connected, and I connected Zoom. I guess it shows all the choices because I'm not using Teams or whatever. And you can also include Ask Them. So anyway, it's just a way for you to, the more.
So if I go to, I just typed in Calendly.com.
Yep. You click sign up, and you're gonna log in with your Google account. It's not going to charge you or anything. There's a free account or whatever. And then this is just the setup of the events. You'll choose the link that, well, when you originally set up your account, you'll choose what you want your address to be, calendly.com/ your last name, first initial, or whatever. And then you can choose what the event is. You can describe it. But then if I click next, this is really cool. I could just use my existing schedule. So I have my schedule set up for meetings my availability for booking is going to start at 9 and it's going to end at 5. And buffers, I can say if I want, I want a 15-minute break to always be before the event or after the event. You can also have additional rules. So do I want to show my available times and blocks? Like if this was Anyway, this is just all the customization. And then scheduling conditions. People can't schedule me within 4 hours, or they can't schedule me within 1 day or whatever. So it's very, very powerful. And it's simple in terms of what people see and use, which was not the case when I use Google calendar appointments. So I would personally recommend Calendly as a really nice way to not only let people in our organization, but in other, just public, parents or whatever. And for your personal practice, you can even collect payments, and I'm sure somebody's charging a fee somewhere. I think what it does is they just have their fee that they have for the service, but then like whatever payment processor you use, PayPal or you know, Vimeo or whatever. Am I even saying that right? Not Vimeo. Is that right? What's the one that we use? Vimeo is a Venmo. Vimeo's videos, but Venmo, you know, PayPal, whatever. Those, the payment processor you use will take, you know, a percentage depending on whatever. And you'll set that up. And then you can choose to turn events on or off. So I think I've just created this now, so I'll just delete it. But you can have a link that goes right to that. I could turn that on or off. You can have a link that goes right to the meeting type. I just include that in my signature, you know, for my email, say, you know, schedule an appointment with me, and then people can just click that link, and then I'll sometimes put that into the email that I send to people. So I've been using this since we started remote learning and had really good luck with it. And it's nice that it also handles these interactions, so people can actually cancel the event, they can reschedule the event, and it'll change my calendar, it'll notify them, takes care of all that stuff. So that's cool. Any questions about Calendly? This is where you set up your for Calendly. I do. Mm-hmm.
You can just scan it, take you to.
Yeah. So the way that I created all of these QR codes for my slideshow is I use this website, and there's different ones that you can use, and I can email this to you. I just use createqrcode.appspot.com. There's a bunch of different sites that just generate QR codes. So as an example, let's make a Calendly link for my reservation. So Calendly. Here's my link. I like to copy and paste. So I'm just going to copy the address for this link. This is the public one that people can use. And when I paste it in here and I say create QR code, voila, there it is. And I can copy that and print that. That's how what Candace did, is she used a QR code creator, pasted that onto a document, printed it, put it on the door outside or the window outside or whatever. And so that, more people than ever know about this because of vaccines, because that's how the CDC, when you get your vaccine shot now, has you register, is you hold up your phone and scan the code, go to the website, and off you go. So I can send you a link to that one. There's a bunch of different websites, and there's ones you buy and whatever. This is just a free one. It works great. This is called createqrcode.appspot.com. Actually, yeah. .appspot. Createqrcode.appspot.com. Yep. Okay, how are we doing on time? We need to.
Never enough.
We have been going for. Does it say? Doesn't say how long we've been going. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to end in 15 minutes or less. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about, we talked about sharing your data. Let's talk about creating a calendar. So one of the tasks that they will, well, I can't say for sure what will be on the test, but since it's a task that's listed in the training, it's highly likely that you will be asked to create a calendar. Most of the time in Google, when you create something like in Drive or whatever, it's right here in the upper left corner. As an example, let me go to Google Drive and show you where that is. So everything that you do new is from here, from the upper left corner. Make a new folder, upload a file, make a new Google document, make a form, scroll down to the More menu. And this is where they have, this is called layered complexity, by the way. You don't overwhelm people with 50 choices right at the start. You limit it a little bit. So this is the sub menu or the child menu. Let's make a Google site. Let's make a Google Jamboard to use in a live, conference. And then there's other things that you can get. Google Drawings. I love Google Drawings and use those all the time. All right, so calendar follows the same kind of design. Up here in the corner, upper left corner, let's create. So when you click create, this is how you're going to actually create an event. I don't use that. I usually tap where I want the time to go, and then it automatically fills it in. But that will allow you to create a calendar event with a limited number of choices here. Notice that if you wanted to actually create a task, Google's integrated some of this a little bit more into their tools. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but over here on the right side of the screen, you now have a button that goes to Keep, which is kind of the Evernote of Google, which is like for notes and files and images and stuff. I don't actually use that. I use this one a little bit. I've tried different task managers, and anyway, I don't consistently use one. I usually use my calendar and my email. That's what I do the most. But you could create a task, which is a little different. There's an app for that. And then this is where they have the appointment slots, but I would steer clear of that. Usually you're just going to put a title and you're going to make sure the date and the time is correct, and then you're going to add guests. I usually choose more options, and that gives me this full menu. And this is how I usually will schedule a meeting with people. The way I just showed you, I learned today, where you just put somebody's name in. But when I say I want to meet with Bree and Shelly, I will pick the day that I think. So let's say I want to try to meet when we come back on the 24th. And I think I want to try to meet like after school at 3:30, because I know Shelly's probably available then. I'm actually not going to be able to see her calendar availability, but I'll be able to see Bree. So let's see if we could do a 30-minute meeting. When I put in both of you here as guests, now there's a little button under, there's two ways to do it. Under here it says suggested times, and I can also say find a time. If I go to suggested times, and again, this isn't exactly accurate since Shelly's doesn't have hers fully in, but yes, all participants could attend at that time. It just happened that I got lucky. But the next time after the 24th is going to be March 26th. So Bree must be out the 25th maybe, or you're just full. And anyway, you don't have availability again until 10:30 on that day. So that's kind of cool. So that's one way, well, it's the second way to see who's available. I usually don't use that way either. What I do is tap beside event details on find a time. And what this is going to do is it's going to line up however many people you have, and it'll give you a scroll, sidebar scroll, if you have more people than will fit in here. And so here's Wes, and here's Bree, and here's Shelly. And so it lines them all up. So again, if the person is in our organization, great. If they're not, this does not help. And that's where having Calendly or something else like that is probably what you want to have. So let's say I wanted to find a time. I can actually click on it here. So it looks like I'm going to go further into the future. So I can see that if I scroll up, Bree is blocked out of Thursday. But if I go to Friday, well, it's because that's too early. I could go ahead and click on.
My availability is like 8:30 and on, right? So gray is where I'm.
Yep, gray is when it's outside of your work time, I think. So I can go ahead and click on a box here, and that's gonna change my time here. So this is the main way that I have done can people meet with me, is I open up a new event, I say find a time, and I make sure they are listed in the guest list. And by the way, you can put 10 people in there. You can put however many you want. But if everyone's not using their calendar, mileage will vary. But we have more people using their Google calendars now, and Yep, and that's how that works. Okay, so that's how to create a new event. One other thing that we'll talk about that's mentioned is, how to integrate conferencing. So Google Meet is Google's thing. You don't have to do anything extra to have this button. So today, to be able to have this event, I just click that button. I said add conferencing. Boom, now it's there. If you want to use Zoom, and I do for some things, more for church and other stuff, most of what we do for school is with Google Meet. you can download a little extension that allows your calendar to show Zoom, and there's other, conferencing tools that we use. But Google Meet is our primary one for school, and so that may not be something that you need. If you wanted to add special notifications, change your notifications, you can do that right here. You also pick what calendar it's on. So when I set this event up, I put this on the Casady Genius Bar calendar. It's not on my personal calendar. And that way, everyone who, and then I also, we have a group that called certification, and if you want me to, I'll put you in the group, and then you'll hear about our next meetings. That way, when I invited that group, I'm not going to save this, but let's say I needed this, I just put that group, which is our Google certification group, and then all 11 people that are in that group get the email. So you can create your own groups in your own personal Gmail. This is one that's created for our school, so other people can use that as well. But those are examples of ways that you can be inviting an individual. You can invite a group. Nathan will do this sometimes, or HL will do it for him or with him, and one of the things to be aware of, though, is it depends on the way the group is set up. But like for this one, we can see everybody and whether they said yes or no. In the larger group, like our whole school, we have that set in a different way. So you won't be able to see who's RSVP'd and said yes and stuff like that. But especially for small groups and whatever, and students, it's great, for them to be able to RSVP directly and show whether they can come. Okay, let's talk about creating a new calendar. So the button up here in the upper left corner is not to create a calendar. That's just an event. If you want to create a new calendar, you need to go down here to the bottom, in the bottom left corner, and this arrow that says My Calendars, you can toggle that up or down, basically to show or hide, and below My Calendars are other calendars. So I have subscribed to a calendar called Holidays in the United States, which automatically has all those holidays. I've also got my college daughter Sarah's calendar in here if I wanted to see what she has got. And I don't even know if she's managing that right now. If I wanted to add a calendar, I have a plus. So I can tap on this, and my choices are, would I like to subscribe to a calendar someone else has, create one, so if you want to make one for the department or make one for your family, browse resources, have a link, I want to import something. Browse calendars of interest is interesting. So this is where you could get, Christian holidays, Jewish holidays, Muslim holidays, baseball schedules, sports schedules, Major League, you can get a team. I mean, it's crazy. Wow.
So if I did that, where I had like my own personal Google calendar, like for myself and my family.
Yes.
To integrate so that I could see all my stuff.
Right.
Both.
Right.
On the same page, but would that then make it? What I would worry is that let's say my kids' event calendar might show up as marking me busy.
No, it would be separate. What I would encourage you to do is create that on your own, of course, Gmail account. And if you don't use this feature called People in Chrome, this is really handy because this is my Casady profile. I have a separate, and you can just go here to add. Yeah, so I've got a separate one for myself. And I can show you. So we don't have very many things on it, but we have a Fryer family calendar. I can turn that on, and it may have something on there for spring break. I don't know. It doesn't have much. We haven't used it much. But that doesn't affect what shows busy and things. This is just toggled on and off for visibility. So when you have the calendar added here, and the same thing is true on your phone. On your phone, you'll choose which calendars do I want to see, which ones do I want to turn off. But you'll have to share it with yourself. So you'll go to your personal, and it's probably easier to do that on the computer rather than on your phone. You'll go to your Google Calendar. I'll show you on my personal. So you switch your personal profile. You're going to go to the calendar, and you're going to go to the sharing for that calendar. So here's our Fryer family calendar that we have. So I can go over to my 3 dots here and choose Settings and Sharing. And I actually have done this. I have invited myself. Here's all of our kids and family. And I have invited my Casady, my Casady account, my Casady email, and I said make changes and manage sharing. So I can actually be logged in with either my Casady or my personal, and I can see it, and I could even change it. That way it will show up here as an option under calendars.
So I switched to my personal.
Okay, so you need to, over on the left side of your menu where you see my calendars,
Yep.
you're going to click on the 3 dots next to the one that you want to go to settings for.
That'd be this right here.
And then settings and sharing. And then you're going to scroll down and you're going to invite your Casady email. So add people. You're going to invite your Casady Google account to be a member. And you could just let it view if you wanted to, or you can go ahead and say, make changes depending upon if you want to be able to do that. And then you have that calendar as a choice. So when I create a new event on my calendar here in Casady, right below notifications, I have all of these calendars because I can create an event on any of these calendars. By default, it's just going to be your main calendar. But if you wanted to make it on your personal, then you just would choose your personal. But that's not going to affect how people see your visibility. I mean, other people aren't going to be able to see it at all because you're not sharing it with them unless you. If you would want, when you're logged into your personal account to see your Casady, then yes, you absolutely would. You would go into your Casady calendar, invite your personal Gmail account, and then you'll have interoperability, this intervisibility, or whatever, yeah, in between your calendar accounts. Okay, one more thing about other calendars. This is good to know. I don't know if they still do this on like Southwest Airlines, but sometimes now when you register for an event, it'll click, add to your calendar, and what do you have? Outlook, Google, whatever. And you can just click on Google and then you add it. But sometimes they give you a file, and it's like a .ics file. You're like, what the heck is this? This is why the import is here. So if a calendar scheduling event, somebody's scheduled you for a webinar or something, then they send you a thing, or you just have it on the website and it downloads it. That's where you do it in Google. You find the calendar that you want to put it on. So if I'm going to put this on my personal account, actually, it doesn't matter. You're going to click plus, and then you'll decide. So I'll say import. I find the file, and then I tell it which calendar I want it to go on. That's kind of a ridiculous number. I probably need to reduce how many I have, because I think I still have all my old Google classrooms. Okay, but we don't necessarily have to do that a lot. And I found that websites are getting better about it. They just say Google, and you click and accept, and it goes on. Okay, any other questions about creating an event or a calendar? We're almost done. Okay, let's see what else is here. So we created a new calendar. And they have those that you can browse to, but then other people have them as well. Okay, there's a video we won't watch. That's about how to create a new one, which we already did. Here's a video. It's 8 minutes long. If you'd like to watch it, you can. Here's what it gives you on your calendar. I have subscribed to a couple things to include my Casady classes. So these are the classes that are in Blackbaud. And the nice thing about it is if we change, like we decided we're coming back Wednesday and not Monday, and if they had changed the days or whatever, which they do, this is dynamic and will automatically update. As a parent, you can also subscribe to your kid's sports calendar, which maybe we'll do. So the debate calendar, Rachel's playing softball. So it's nice. Our calendar has that kind of feature because it's overwhelming with all the events, but you can go in, and that's what this video explains. You can go in and just select the feed, which is a special address. And when you're in your calendar, just like before, you'd click here on the plus. But in that case, you are, quote, subscribing to the calendar. You can't add to that calendar, but you can view it because it's the school. The school is pushing it out. But that is a very nice feature, and most calendar systems are going to support that. So it's an interoperability. And then you can see it on whatever device. You can see it on your phone. You can see it on your computer, whatever you happen to be on. Okay. All right. Well, I already talked about integrations with Google Meet and Zoom, and we did Calendly first. So the last thing I put on here, I'm not going to go over, and it's a little bit more detail about the formats and importing events. But it's basically that. Go, if you have an event that somebody sent you, you can go to other calendars and you can choose to import it. Sometimes it's a link. That's how the Casady, my Casady from Blackbaud are, is it's just this super long link. And you copy and paste it, and then you... Blackbaud is my Casady. So when you are... I'll just show this real quick. So when we're logging into our website, you'll see things depending upon what's called your constituent view. Since Shelley and I are both faculty and parents, we can actually click up here and change from faculty to parent. There's one called friend as well that some people have. And there's different things that you see by your constituent view. So here I am as faculty staff. I can click on calendar, and over here is where you can toggle things on or off. So here are Rachel's calendars, and I could choose to just show Rachel's. I got the school calendar turned on. Here are just games and practices. So I'm going to do that right now, because these are the softball games for her, because that's her current sport. So up here in the upper right corner, there's a nice little logo that's supposed to look like a feed. And that is what you copy. So I'm gonna click on that, and it says, what do you want to subscribe? The entire thing, Rachel's calendars. I want to actually just subscribe to her games and practices, and it would even let me turn off weight classes and just do varsity softball. And so if I click on that, look at that. That is so cool. Would you like to add that? Why, yes, I would. And now I have a new calendar that I just subscribed to. Yeah, but isn't it named just something wonderful? WebCal, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to just rename it, and I'm going to call it softball. So I will click it, and I will say settings. You can change the name. So the name will be Rachel Softball. And then, yes, if I wanted to, I think I might have to just send that to Shelley I don't think I can invite you to it, because it's one that I've subscribed to. But I can copy it and send it to you, and you can put it on too. All right, so now that's pretty cool. So, and as the school, so they just rescheduled. Okay, here's where colors come in. It was blue. No, we don't want it to be blue. Let's make it orange. Okay, there we go. So Rachel's going to have a varsity home softball game the Tuesday before we come back, 4:30. Woo! And that will update automatically from my Casady. Yeah, right. Anyway, all right. I'm going to stop our recording.
Yay,